Welcome to the Encore version 1.2 video training series. That exam went live on March 19th, 2026, and in this course, we're going to cover every single topic on the Encore version 1.2 exam blueprint. By the way, if you want to check out what those topics are for yourself, you can visit kwtrain.com/350-401. And by the way, as we go through this training, I really want to encourage you to take lots and lots of notes. That's going to dramatically increase your attention and your understanding. And also, as you go through the course, I encourage you to take the quiz at the end of each lesson. You see, the way the course is designed, we have 6 different content modules, and these modules are divided into lessons. And at the end of each lesson, there's a quiz. And if you download the corresponding quiz PDF, the first section of the PDF contains the questions, and there's a second section with detailed explanations as to why the correct answer is the correct answer. And in addition to the lesson quizzes, we also have practice exams. Now, I recommend you wait until you go through all the course material before you tackle those practice exams, but once you do, my recommendation is that you're consistently scoring 90% or higher on those practice exams before you go take the real thing. And I also want you to get your hands dirty in this course, and by that I'm talking about getting some hands-on experience. And to do that, you're getting a collection of lab guides. And each lab guide is a PDF document that you can download, and it's going to give you a topology that you can build using your own physical gear or maybe an emulator like Cisco Modeling Labs. It's going to give you a base configuration for the routers and switches, which you can update based on your topology, make all the interface IDs match what you have, and then literally you can copy and paste from those base configurations into your actual gear or emulator. It's going to give you lab instructions about what you need to accomplish in that lab, and after you're done, it gives you a complete step-by-step walkthrough solution. And I want to dive with you a little bit deeper into that lab experience, so I created a separate video that's in a couple of videos from now, but that separate video is going to walk you through exactly how to use these lab guides and perform your labs. And how do you access all of these resources like the lesson quizzes, practice exams, and lab guides? Well, you'll naturally come upon them as you go through the course, or I also give you a one-stop shop at the bottom of the course navigation pane. There's a course downloads area, and from there you can download all of these resources. And by the way, in addition to the resources that we've already talked about, you can also download a PDF containing the course slides. And that document, it's going to make a great study aid for you, and it's also a great place to take notes as you go through the course. Now, let's take a look at some of the topics that we're going to be covering in this course. In the course, it's divided into 6 major content modules, the first of which is Enterprise Architecture. We're going to first focus on design, and you're going to be introduced to some emerging technologies like SD-WAN and SD-Access. Then in our second module, we'll consider virtualization technologies. That's going to include setting up virtual machines on something like VMware ESXi, but we'll take it beyond that and talk about data path virtualization and network virtualization. We're going to get into topics like how to set up a VPN, and we'll discuss the theory of Lisp and VXLANs. And the third module is the most heavily weighted module on the exam, making up about 30% of the exam content. It's network infrastructure. And the great news is, if you've been through our CCNA training, then you're already going to be acquainted with a lot of these topics. But we're going to be diving deeper into those topics in Encore, such as spanning tree protocol at layer 2, the OSPF and BGP routing protocols. And we'll also discuss various network services and multicasting. Next, in Module 4, we're going to take a look at different tools and protocols that can help us better manage our network. Everything from the command line interface to NetFlow. We'll talk about policy-based routing and EEM, the Embedded Event Manager. Next up is network security, where we're going to consider how to better protect our network devices. And we'll talk about securing our infrastructure and take a look at some security design considerations. And in our final module, we're going to get into network automation. This is where, instead of going to one device at a time and typing in a bunch of commands at the command line interface, instead, we can express our intent. Cisco calls this intent-based networking, where we might use an application, maybe a Python program that we write, or maybe a graphical interface that lets us express our intent for what we want to be configured on the network. And then a network controller can communicate that intent out to multiple devices throughout the network simultaneously. That's going to dramatically help us scale what we're able to manage in the network. And you'll also learn how to program. We're going to get into some basic Python programming, and we're going to see how we can configure different models of routers, maybe from different vendors, by representing their configuration using a Yang data model. And then we'll see how to use that Yang data model along with tools like RESTconf and NetConf to programmatically configure a Cisco router. And finally in this module, we're going to see how we can use the Cisco Catalyst Center and SD-WAN Manager platforms to do automation. And after the content modules, I've got a bonus module for you. It's all about getting ready to take the exam. We're going to see how to register for the exam. And instead of just having the intent of, yeah, I think I'll study OSPF next weekend, we're going to talk about how to actually calendar this out and create a solid study strategy. We'll also discuss taking the exam from a psychological perspective and discuss how you can show up as your best self on exam day. And finally, we'll discuss some possible next steps for you after you crush your Encore exam. Hi, my name is Kevin Wallace, and I'm going to be your primary instructor in this course. And I'll start out by saying that I love Cisco Technologies. I'm a double CCIE with a lifetime emeritus status. I've been working with Cisco gear since the very first model of Cisco router, the old Cisco AGS Plus back in 1989. I've taught courses for Cisco Learning Partners. I did that for about 14 years. I was also a network designer down at Walt Disney World in Florida, where I designed and helped install and configure the network upgrade, interconnecting the Magic Kingdom and Epcot and the studios and Animal Kingdom and a bunch of the resorts. And I've written a lot of books and created a lot of video courses for the folks over at Cisco Press, including the CCNP Route Official Cert Guide. And Route, that's the predecessor to Encore. In fact, I was offered the opportunity to author the Encore Official Cert Guide, but I decided instead to focus on creating these video courses. I've also been a distinguished speaker at Cisco Live a couple of times. The bottom line is, I love this stuff, and I cannot wait to guide you through your Encore studies. And by the way, I'm not doing this course entirely solo. Joining me from time to time throughout the course will be CCNP Charles Judd. Now, join me in our next video, if you would, as we take a closer look at the Encore version 1.2 exam.